What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. And I kind of have to make this video brief because I got to go do some filming. So I just want to give you some highlights of tonight's fights, let you know what I saw, and make sure you guys leave your own comments. Um, but in the first fight, we had a prospect named Jermell Charlo. He's a twin brother. His brother also fights undefeated. And I forgot the name of his opponent off the top of my head, but his opponent's been in there with hard hitters like Alfredo Angulo, and this fight was really one-sided. It was definitely a domination on Charlo's part. He had 3 knockdowns in the fight, and the fight ended in KO fashion. Kenny Bayless is an amazing referee. I think Kenny Bayless is one of the best, if not the best, in the business um, that currently refs boxing matches. But he got knocked down late in the fight, the opponent, and Kenny Bayless like got down, squatted down on the ground, and kind of made eye contact and allowed him to try to stand up and give him the opportunity to try to stand up. But as soon as he stood up, his legs buckled and he sat the 8 count before he even tried to get up. And then when he did try to get up, he like kind of stumbled back and his legs buckled. So Kenny Bayless waved it off and they counted it as a knockout. So great win for Jermell Charlo, an up and coming prospect. He definitely did some things in there well. He fights at 154 pounds. He has speed. Looks like he has some power and mixed up his punches. He's definitely a patient fighter. He's almost a Mikey Garcia type, and I'm not comparing their styles exactly, but just in the sense of sometimes overly patient, and that's something that some of the young fighters, it's a gray area. It's like a fine line because you don't want to be overly patient to the point where you give your opponent a second to hang around and potentially get their second win. So if you can get someone hurt and get them out of there, then you need to try to put something together. And even Zab Judah tweeted from ringside. He was ringside at the fight card, and he said I like Charlo, but he needs to let his hands go, and that's exactly what. Because throughout the fight, he had his opponent hurt numerous times. There was 3 knockdowns, as I mentioned. One knockdown was early, I think maybe even in the first round. So yeah, he just needs to learn when to open up and when to be like I guess more conservative and economical with your punches. Similar with Mikey Garcia. If you watched the Orlando Salido fight last week, there were opportunities where it looked like Garcia clearly could have picked up the pace because he had Orlando Salido hurt. And like I said, you want to finish guys. So that's my big advice for this up and coming prospect, Jermell Charlo. Um, just kind of use a little bit more judgment, know when to pick up the pace, let your hands go, and when to be conservative. Again, you don't want to get in a position where you get overly reckless like Pacquiao did with Marquez. You have to still know your opponent, still know their vulnerabilities, and know their weakness. And Pacquiao should have known of all people. He's fought Marquez 3 other times. You know he's a counterpuncher. You know he's technically sound and gifted. So it doesn't make sense for Pacquiao to get overly confident, even if you think the guy's hurt, knowing that Marquez has never been knocked out in his professional career. So it's something that comes with time, and people like Pacquiao should know that. But this Charlo dude, I believe, is 22, so he has time to learn. But that's definitely something he should work towards. Just having that ring judgment, knowing when to apply more pressure, and you can't just always back off and be more patient because as you start getting to these elite fighters, um, you never know what'll happen late. I mean, the cut could open up. They can stop the fight due to a headbutt, just like in the Salido fight. So if you ever have an opportunity to get your guy out of there, um, like I said, it's a fine line without taking too much risk, like to the point where you're gonna get knocked out, like Pacquiao or whatever. Um, then you got to take that. And it was clear that he was dominating this fight. So I'm anxious. I would definitely watch this kid again, see what he has to offer. In the second fight, you had the Turkish fighter Selcuk Aydin, the one that fought Robert Guerrero, and he was fighting Jesus Soto-Karass. I actually thought this would be a little bit more of a war, but as you guys know, Aydin changed his trainers, and it looked like this was the first fight with a new trainer. And I didn't like how he came out. He came out, it wasn't his style. It didn't really seem like the style suited him. It seemed like he was trying to be more of a boxer and like move. Um, just try to offer a lot of movement, lateral movement, and different stuff like that. And his fighting style doesn't really suit that. You got to kind of fight to the style that best suits you, that gives you the best chance because, in my opinion, I think Jesus Soto-Karass did a lot of things well. He controlled the pace of pretty much the whole fight, in my opinion. Mixed up his attack and his punches. He had jabs, he had body shots, and most importantly, he used his length, and it just showed his veteran skill. And this is where other fighters who fight a little bit more amateurish, like an Amir Khan, can take notes from guys like Jesus Soto-Karass. When you have their reach advantage, um, you're supposed to always pop that jab out there and just use that reach to your advantage. I mean, if God gave you long arms or longer arms than your opponent, then that definitely needs to be part of your arsenal. Make him struggle, make him fight to get on the inside. And even on the inside, it looks like, say, Soto-Karass, he looked good on the inside. He was pretty much, like I said, dominating the pace. There were some good moments for Aydin and some good shots, but he never really. It reminded me almost of the a fight like the Robert Guerrero versus Andre Berto. And in the Berto Guerrero fight, Guerrero was pretty much controlling the pace of the fight. He was landing the harder shots. He was kind of fighting the style that benefited him the best. And Andre Berto had a couple of shots where he would get off, but he never really put anything together. And we all know that Jesus Soto-Karass has a granite chin. That's something I mentioned before. I have a video, I believe, on here where I was dedicating it to the people with the toughest chins in the game, and he was one of the people because if you've seen some of the shots he's taken from like Gabriel Rosado, even though he did lose that fight and get knocked out, or Maidana, even though he lost that fight too. I mean, it's an accumulation of punches that breaks this guy down, just like Paulie Malignaggi was saying when he was doing his commentary. You're not going to just get this guy out of there with one punch. You have to systematically break him down. He's almost like the Terminator. He's like an Antonio Margarito type Mexican fighter, just tough as nails, and he's not going to give up. Because even when Aydin was hitting him with some just clever shots or some shots that rocked his head back, he still kept coming and he still kept throwing punches. So definitely got to respect Soto-Karass. He was in a slump too, as far as not having many wins recently. So this was a good look for him. Again, he mixed up his attack, mixed up his punches, kept the pressure on, kept coming forward. And it was weird because I didn't expect, my prediction was wrong. I thought Aydin would win either a late stoppage or a unanimous decision. And that's not what happened at all. But again, he has a new trainer, and it looked like he had a weird game plan that wouldn't benefit him in this fight. And again, it didn't. He was like fighting from like off his back foot, and I thought he was more of a pressure fighter. So I thought they were both going to be going heads up, like both coming forward. But throughout most of the fight, it looked like Soto-Karass was doing the most of the coming forward, and whatever reason, Aydin was trying to switch his fighting style. I don't know what him and his new trainer worked on, but it doesn't really seem like it suits his style. He's a heavy-handed puncher. So again, you got to be what you are. It's kind of hard when you're trying to turn him into a pure boxer, and that's not his style. That's like taking Ricky Hatton, who's a brawler, and try to make him this Juan Manuel Marquez type, where he's just sitting back waiting for punches and landing counters. I mean, that's not Ricky Hatton's fight game, and I'm sure if Ricky Hatton fought some of his opponents using that strategy, he would have his record wouldn't be what it is today, just because I don't think he would have won doing the style that didn't really work for him. So it was a cool fight. It wasn't as much of a war as I thought it would be. It went to decision, and Jesus Soto-Karass won. Two of the judges I felt had it scored right. One of the judges had it as a draw, a technical draw. I don't see that. I don't see how Aydin could have won that one. Again, it looked like Soto-Karass had the harder shots, and he was the most consistent, like Paulie Malignaggi was saying. So check my next video on the main event. I'm going to do a separate video for that. I just wanted to cover these other fights. So look out for that.